Coach Tim Priester from Irish Illustrated. I wonder if you could characterize just your general defensive approach and what coaches from your past have shaped your philosophy, including perhaps a young receivers coach who was here for a couple of us remember by the name of Urban Meyer.
Yeah. So just overall philosophically, as we approach this situation here, I look at it, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And that was really the conversation that Coach Freeman and I had about this situation. There has been a really good football played here on defense. There's been standards, there's been accountability, they've been well coached, and we're just looking at ways that we can try to enhance it and make it better. Conceptually, we're going to keep doing a lot of the same things that have been done here. Terminology may change a little bit, some fundamentals may change a little bit, but at the end of the day, the way Notre Dame has played defense is the way Notre Dame is going to play defense in the future.
You mentioned terminology. I wanted you to ask that. What's your philosophy in terms of how much you want the players to adapt to you, or like your background in adapting to coming into a different situation?
Yeah, I'm here to become one of them, and that's what they're not here to adjust to me. I'm here to adjust to them. The staff, the players, the scheme, the whole overall culture of the organization, that's what I'm coming to be a part of. This is Notre Dame's defense. This is not my defense. This is Notre Dame's, and I'm coming here to try to help continue the success that they've had on defense and find ways to try to make it better. That's it.
Front row on your left, Jack Sobel.
Hey, Coach, Jack Sobel with Blue and Gold Illustrated. What did you learn from your time in the NFL with the Raiders and Jaguars that can be applied to Notre Dame?
It's all about the players. It's players first, players over plays, and concepts over calls. And that's really the way we're approaching it right now, and trying to make sure that what we do and what we ask the players to do is in the best interest of the player and allows them to be successful, and really do a great job of teaching concepts to help them understand the big picture of what we're trying to do. And you can really create a positionless defense when you do it that way. And that's what it is. Some of the things that people talk about in college, they still apply in the NFL. It's about relationships. It's about communication. It's about trust. And if you have those things, whether you're in the NFL or in college, you have a chance to be successful.
Then the college game has changed a lot since you last worked in it, obviously. Speaking strictly from an on-field perspective, what about your defense will have to evolve with the times?
Well, like I said before, this isn't about my defense. This is about the Notre Dame defense, and we're going to continue to do things that Notre Dame has done on defense. The game is different than the NFL and what I've been doing for the last few years, but again, I haven't been out of it for too long, and the hashes make the game different and the space that's created because of the hashes. And everything you do, you got to make sure that you can eliminate that space and play the RPOs and the reliefs and things that offenses have. But again, it's not my defense that we're going to be running. It's our defense, and that's the way that I look at it. I'm coming to be a part of this organization and this defense and this staff.
Front row on your right, John Bryce.
Hey, Coach. What made now the right time to come back from the NFL to the college game in specific? How much did the fact that it is a Notre Dame, like an Ohio State type program, that lured you back?
Yeah, it's a great question. I really enjoyed what I was doing. I was actually in personnel this last year in Jacksonville. I enjoyed that. It was a great learning opportunity. Wasn't looking for another job. Coach Freeman called, and we started to have some initial conversations. And I looked at the whole thing. It's Notre Dame, the type of people that come to Notre Dame, players, staff. Obviously, the recent success, the opportunity for sustained success in the future, all of those things together made this a no-brainer for me. And it was going to take a lot to leave where we were at, but this was one of those jobs that you just can't pass up on.
Talking to those guys in Columbus, they were mentioning to me that you were one of the first, if not maybe the first, to go to the rugby-style tackling. Kind of what was the origin of that? Why was that something you wanted to implement, and is that something you continue to like?
Yeah, so it's just the way that tackles were being made already in the game. So we just went through years ago just a self-evaluation of how we coach tackling, and looked at our drills and looked what was actually happening in games with players, and players were tackling a particular way. And it was also around player safety and trying to remove the head out of the game and the contact and minimize the amount of contact a player has. That's really how it all originated, and it's just really the way the players play the game anyway. So we just tried to retool what we did and how we coached it and how we drilled it to mimic what was happening already on the game film.
Second row on your left, Tyler James.
Hi, Coach Tyler James, Inside ND Sports. I'm curious, I know you're just hitting the ground running right now, but what's your sense of how different recruiting is now since when you were last in college?
Oh, boy, we don't have all day. I mean, it's completely different. And I'm running, I'm scrambling, and I'm really just picking up bits and pieces about NIL, the transfer portal, all of those things, and how it's different, how it's changed. And there's a lot of good things around it as well. So I'm learning every single day, every recruiting meeting that we have, meetings I have with the recruiting staff, just trying to ask questions, gather information, and see how everybody operates, and what is truly different about it today than it was 4 years ago when I was doing it.
And then what is your plan in terms of positional responsibilities for yourself, and assuming if that's in the secondary, how you'll handle working with Mike Mickens with that?
Yeah, I'm going to walk around and be able to observe all coaches in all positions. And, talking about Coach Mickens, he doesn't need my help. He's a great coach, great person. He's done a tremendous job here coaching the secondary. And I've known Mike for a long time, and he does a great job with the players.
Front row on your right, Eric Hansen.
Hey, Coach, Eric Hansen with Inside ND Sports. I know that you want to adapt and become part of what Notre Dame already has, but in terms of like little things like Notre Dame played a 5-man linebacker rotation and things like that, I mean, are those things, or do you want to kind of sift through some of those things and put your own stamp on those?
Yeah, like it's not my stamp, it's what the players have earned the right to do. If players have earned the right to play, it's our job to find a way to get them to play, whether it's a rotation, it's a personnel package, whatever it may be. We want the good players to stay here in our program. Good players want to do what? They want to play. So it's our job to find ways to allow them to play. We're going to play our best players, but we also want to understand that rotations are important, personnel packages are important, giving them an opportunity to go out and impact the game. That's really what we want to do.
And I was able to find some videos of the aggressive 4-3 defense. If you turn that video on and then watch spring practice, how similar in at least spirit of defense do you think it would be?
Hopefully, through my time as a coach, there are certain things that are important, and it's more about play style than it is anything else. I don't care if we're 4-3, 3-4, 5-2. I don't really care about any of that stuff. It's about the play style. We want to play fast. We want to play violent. We want to be physical. We want to win at the point of attack. That's all that it's about. We want to play with energy and enthusiasm. We're going to coach, teach, and we're going to practice that way, and hopefully we're going to play that way too. So whatever videos you saw, I don't know what years those would be. I probably have a little more gray hair now than I did back then, and probably a little bit more right here. But hopefully the play style comes to life. And it's really not going to be hard for me because that's the way this defense has played. We're going to try to continue that.
If you know where I can get a discount, I'd appreciate it.
I don't. I might have some old ones in a box somewhere.
Left side, back row, Omar Jimenez.
Coach, what do you think will be the most difficult challenges you will face this year with the defensive line?
I haven't been here long enough to be able to answer that question. I really have only been able to watch the guys work out a couple of times. I've watched film. I think we have an outstanding defensive line. How deep it is right now and all this, I don't know. The biggest challenge is to keep the good players healthy. And, interiorly, we want to make sure we have enough guys that we can rotate. But right now, based on what I've watched on film and my evaluation, we have a chance to have an outstanding defensive line. We just got to keep them healthy. Got to get some guys healthy. And it's going to take me some more time before I can give you an honest answer to that question.
Okay. And speaking of film, did you get the chance to look closely what Gabe Rubio did last year?
I don't know if I've looked at it closely, but I have watched his reps from last year. So I met with every single player when I first got here, and before I met with them, I watched clips on all of them. I wasn't able to watch all of them because there's some players played a lot of snaps, but he's a good player. He's a big body. He's violent. He does a great job with his hands. There's some things that we'll continue to try to develop within his game, but we're happy to have him.
We'll get a microphone. Front row on your left, Tyler Horka.
Tyler Horka, Blue and Gold Illustrated. Chris, you said you watched some film, and this is just a more broad question on the personnel that you're inheriting, but has anybody kind of jumped out to you and you've seen something where you're like, okay, hey, we can work with this guy because he has these traits, or anything that kind of sticks out in that way?
Yeah, pretty much everyone I watched. There's some good players, and I know this. Everywhere I've been, I have good players. I've been a really good coach. So That was when we asked about why Notre Dame. Well, it starts with the players. They're good players in this program. They've done a great job of recruiting and developing. We lost some good players off of last year's defense, but there are a lot of good ones back, a lot of guys that played significant snaps. So I'm fired up about working with all of them. There's a lot of traits that they have, skill set, the mentality, the way they approach their work that really excites me and fires me up about being here.
We've talked a little bit about how much college football has changed since you've last been in it, but I'm curious, in the last handful of years, how closely have you kind of monitored the college game and said, hey, I actually do like that, and maybe that'll get me back into it, and sort of those some of things, or some sort of those things?
Yeah, well, when you're somewhere else, you're going to always keep an eye on things that are being done at a different level. No different than when I was in college, I'd watch NFL film. When I'm in the NFL, I watched college film, because a lot of the college game is starting to filter up offensively, especially into the NFL because of the quarterbacks and the space game and spreading people out. But yeah, I've kind of watched as much as I could with college film. And, you study people that are doing good things, whether you necessarily have done them or agree with them, whatever, you study people that have had success.
Staying on the left side, third row, Pete Byrne.
Hey, Chris, Pete Byrne, WSBT Television. Two-part question. In your most recent stops, have you found that your experience as a head coach prior has impacted the way you coach and operate now? And in your conversations with Marcus Freeman, was that experience important to him, bringing you in?
You'd have to ask Marcus that, to be honest. We never really discussed that a whole lot. I do think my experience as a head coach has made me a better assistant coach. I understand really what the head coach wants and how to help the head coach with the problems with my players or my side of the ball, keeping those issues off the head coach's desk. But, you'd have to ask Marcus about that. But I do think that those past experiences have helped me become a better assistant coach.
Last question opportunity for you. Staying on the left side, second row, Mike Berardino.
Hey, Chris. Joe Rudolph, I believe, was maybe the only guy here that you'd worked with before. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And did you pick his brain before you made a decision, or what was it like as you were weighing, leaving the known versus the unknown, that you knew Joe and worked so effectively together?
Yeah, Rudy and I worked together at Wisconsin. Always had a ton of respect for the way he goes about his business and the type of person he is. And I knew he was here. I knew that he really enjoyed it here, enjoyed the people, enjoyed the area, the players, the way Coach Freeman runs the organization. But I did not personally, in this process, have any conversations with him. Honestly, when I went through this process, I was really excited that Coach Freeman called me and had trust and belief and faith that I could come here and lead the defense. But when I came here to campus, and the people that I met with, I could tell there was absolute alignment from the top, from Father Bob all the way down. And it was everything was first class. Everybody was great, professional. I was like, this is the type of place I want to be a part of. So I didn't need to talk to anybody else. I made that decision on my own, and it really was because of the people and the alignment that I saw here, and that everybody wants this place to be great, not only academically but athletically. And it was an easy choice for me.
And then upstairs or down on the field now, especially with helmet communication, how have you kind of handled that through the years as a defensive coordinator? What do you think you'll do in this environment?
I've been both, up and down. Really got to take some time to evaluate the staff and see where the pieces fit together. We are kind of really loaded up on the back end, I should say, on defense with DB coaches. So we'll put it all together as we go. I haven't really had a lot of thoughts about that yet, but I've done both. And we'll just see where it goes after spring and maybe training camp a little bit too.
Coach Ash, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Coach Seider. Going to start on the third row, on your left, Sean Stiers.
Hey, Coach. You obviously had a really good situation at Penn State. You've been there for a while. So what made this opportunity, stand out for you in terms of making a move like this career-wise?
Yeah, it was never easy. You've been at a place 7 years. The type of room that we have built at Penn State, the culture with those kids, it's timing, right? There's never the right time, and there's never the bad time. Sometimes you're at the back end of it where you don't have no control of it, and you get, staff get let go and you got to leave, and you're on a staff where you win and you don't have to leave. But We talked about it. Me and the family, it was just like you say no every year, or, you don't want to also be complacent either. It was Notre Dame. It was Marcus Freeman. We built a relationship 14 years ago when we was young coaches in this profession through Jared Parker, who used to be here, that just went to Purdue, and we was on the road together, and we kind of hit it off. It almost like I was telling my wife, sometimes it's like talking to myself, and I talk to him, like I'm talking to myself. And we just stayed in touch. And then we always said it had to take something special for us to leave, right? Whether it's a head coach, a coordinator position, there was some chance with some NFL teams, but when this opportunity came, we thought hard about it. We turned the phone off for a couple of days. The only person we really talked to was Marcus, a little bit here and there. And we just said, it was time to do something different. Go challenge yourself, go walk in different shoes. And I felt comfortable doing that because at the end of the season last year, when I met with my two kids that came back, I told them, do not come back to Penn State, come back for me. Make sure if you come back for your own selfish reason, or you leave for your own selfish reason, and I will support you in any manner I can.
You obviously had a couple of really successful backs there, and you inherit a couple of really successful backs here as well. Just in terms of your philosophy with not just those, maybe one or two guys at the top of the depth chart, how do you kind of go about employing, whatever happens with the entire room?
Well, to me as a coach, I always believe you coach the bottom of your roster no different you coach the top of your roster. And that's how you build depth, because your fifth can easily become your one. And so you got to prepare like that throughout the week. So I always believe in throughout the weeks that we in season try to have 4 guys ready, because it's hard to get 5 and 6 guys ready, but have 4 guys in a rotation where they can learn, they can have a process to be ready to play in the game, because there's an ankle injury, right? We play a physical game. We're the one position where every play somebody's trying to hit you, right? And so we have to have guys ready, and we have to build depth to be able to get to the championship, which Notre Dame did. You got to have depth. Injuries happen. I thought one of the greatest things to go play against this team last year, from my offensive point of view, they had a lot of injuries, and you never knew the difference who was in the game. Was a guy injured or this guy been playing all year, which is a testament to this program and what Coach Freeman built.
Second row on your right, Tom Noy.
Hey, Coach. Tom Noy, South Bend Tribune. What were your impressions the first day you were here on campus as a head coach or as an assistant coach compared to, or maybe in contrast to 1997 when you're a backup quarterback coming in here with West Virginia?
It's very different. I was on the winning side this time, so we ended up losing that game close. I really didn't get the chance to feel Notre Dame when you come in as a visiting team, because you just come in for business. You come to play the game, win and lose, go home, right? Like Chris said, when I got here, it was first class. Like when you come on this campus, you feel Notre Dame. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is, how to explain it, but it just felt different. You walk different, you talk different, you stand up different, you sit different. And I just think it's from the top, meeting with Father Bob, meeting with Sergeant Academics, meeting with Freeman, him coming to pick us up from the airport. It was just first class, and you understand why. Now you feel the why of Notre Dame. It's special, and that's why it's only one Notre Dame.
How quickly after you took the job did you think to yourself back to the Orange Bowl and say, hey, I get to coach that Jeremiah Love guy? And were you able to see that, his 2-yard run live or up on the screen after it happened?
Well, you see everything when you compete, when there's a game going back and forth. So I really didn't have a chance to look at it that way, because I was trying to make sure I handle the buys where I come from the right way. Meeting with those kids to make them understand why behind this decision, right? Because they coming back wanting to be coached again by me, and that was hard because they're not just my football player. They become part of your family. They become part of my kids. So once I can make them understand the reason behind why I'm leaving, opportunity that I have in front of me, is I told them the same way. Like, you go to the NFL, you're going to leave, right? This is an opportunity for me to step out and do something different. So now, to your point of Jeremiah Love, I saw that touchdown. That was a big part of the game. But now I get to dive into these kids and kind of see what they do well and areas we can clean up, or because they've been coached really well. D-Mac was a really good coach who I had a ton of respect for. So like I told the kids, you've been coached well. Now you get to be coached again, and now you get to learn something different from somebody else, because now you can add that to your arsenal and make you an even better player.
Second row on your left, Tyler James.
Coach, you mentioned sort of coaching your position from the bottom up to be able to have a strong room. How important do you think rotation at the running back position is in the sort of modern college football?
Well, when you go recruit these kids and you sit down and you talk to the family, you talking about taking care of their kids, right? We talking about the one position that everybody trying to hit you. All 11 at some point are trying to hit you at this position, whether you run the ball, blocking, you catching the ball. So, and then there's a part of us, if we get these high-level players that's going to play on Sundays, we got to make sure these kids leaving out with tread on their tires, right? And you may play 60 snap a game, but I got to make sure my best players in for the right 30, 40 snaps of the game. So when I can, you can take a Jeremiah Love and give him a break because he needed to have him strong in that fourth quarter to go win a game like he did versus us in the Orange Bowl. That's smart coaching. It's like game planning. You don't always call a pass play. You're going to mix some runs. You're going to mix some screens. Well, it's the same way with navigating the room. Now, you got to earn what you get, right? And I believe that if you can go out there and show me you can pass protect on third down, because I'm big on, to me, that's where the trust come in. Knowing you can protect that quarterback. Because every guy in that room want to play on Sunday. Well, if you can't protect Pat Mahomes, you're not going to be on the field. So we always going to start with the foundation of protection. Because if I'm teaching you how to run, we recruited the wrong guys, right? And I'm an ex-quarterback, so I can kind of tell them and unexplain what it's like to play next to that guy quarterback, so it makes them understand the little things that you do and why you got to do them.
And you mentioned recruiting. How would you describe your strengths as a recruiter?
Well, I mean, it's about relationship. I think establishing relationship, establishing trust with the players, but it's not just the player, it's the family. Those kids didn't get there by themselves. It's the mom, the dad. It may be the grandparent that's raising that kid. It may be the uncle. It may be that person at the school that you don't think about. It may be that custodian that's really close to that guy, or whoever that may be. And to me, it's just find out the decision makers. Who are they? Who's helping this kid to make decisions, right? Because there's a transitional world we're in right now, right, with NIL and revenue sharing that's come along. But at some point, it's got to be even, right? And what's going to separate when Notre Dame can pay this and Ohio State can pay this, Penn State can pay that? It's relationships. Because we can all say we got the same things, but in the day, if that kid can come to me because I built the best relationship, well, there's a little bit of trust, and there's a little bit of, okay, I can trust this coach going to develop me. He's going to be there through my tough times, because every kid going to go through homesickness, right? Whether you 15 minutes down the road, you're on your own for the first time. Mom not there making your bed or fixing you breakfast. So it come down to relationship, and then it come down to outworking people. If you're going to sit around and not going to communicate with the kid and the parent, well, somebody else is. And to me, I never change as I'm going to outwork you. I take recruiting the same way I take coaching, the same way I play. Like, I want to be the best at it, and I hate losing, so I'm going to do everything I can to get my opportunity to win.
Third row on your right, Tim Priester.
Coach, I know you're probably going to be complimentary of the two guys that you had at running back this year as far as your success as a coach, but who and what has been the foundation of your coaching accomplishments and achievements?
As a player or coaches?
As a coach.
Well, it started with parents. Both parents coaches down in Florida. The guy, Doc Holliday, who recruited me to West Virginia, was a big reason why I got into college coaching, because I tried to run from it, and he wouldn't let me run. He came and got me, brought me to West Virginia. I was married with 3 kids, and, I had an opportunity coming in and be a GA, but allowed to coach the quarterbacks. So Doc, a guy named Calvin McGee, who's not here no more, was a big mentor to me as a running back coach, because I never played. I was a dual threat quarterback, but I never was a running back who taught me the game and who was one of the best in the game. And then I kind of built myself as a coach by the people I was around. Doc, to me, was the best recruit I've ever been around, relentless. So I take that approach I learned from him. I worked with Dana Hogan, who I think one of the brightest offensive minds I've ever been around, who made football easy. So I learned X and O's from him. You take bits and pieces. I didn't work with McElwain long. I was with him a year down at the University of Florida, but it's super smart. Like, you just embrace everything he did at Alabama and all other places, and you learn a little bit from him. And then you go with James Franklin. I've been there for 7 years, who I think in my career at this point was the best CEO I've ever been around. Like, he just had his hands on everything throughout the program. So you learn and you observe from the people in front of you, and that's kind of how I built myself as a coach, so you can step out in different areas and learn how to handle where it's calling plays, right? It's learning recruiting. It's learning to run your room, because we was big on being a head coach of your room, right? We always believe in high production, low maintenance, and that's the type of kids I want in my room. So you don't have to, if you chasing the kid off the field, he's not handling his business, how he's going to handle it on the field? So we really believe in that, and that's kind of the foundation of how I coach.
Could you give a quick film review of the guys that were the top 3 running backs this past year, Love, Price, and Aeneas Williams?
Well, I mean, Jay Love got a pretty much, he can do it all. I mean, he can make you miss in the phone booth. Aeneas, you know, for a young kid is just solid. You really watch him play in the game and the way he attacked blocking. He's got elite ball skills. I mean, I remember I can't remember what down it was, but we was in man defense, and I saw a middle linebacker run out with him. He catch a 40-yard pass. That was a big part of the game. So, ton of respect for him. Jadarian, you know, he's an explosive kid. Anytime the ball in his hand, he can take it a distance. So that's kind of what I see of the kids. Like, I don't have a true breakdown on all they can do yet because, again, I'm just getting into it. I'm trying to learn right from left at this point. So, but I tell you, the kids are really eager. The best thing we talked about right now is being uncomfortable. In a good way. I'm uncomfortable, right? This is new for me. I haven't done it in 7 years, so to do it again, and the kids being uncomfortable with a different style of coaching, right? I might be playing with their footwork. I might be talking about their hand placement, and I say that's all good. Because when you leave here and you go to the NFL, guess what? You're going to be coached different. So learn it now. Learn how to adapt, and I think the kid has bought in. We've got a chance to work with him the last 2 days this week, and it's been really awesome.
Staying on the right side in the front row, John Bryce.
Hey, Coach, you referenced Jared Parker earlier. I wonder, did you talk to him during this process? And he had a unique journey here at Notre Dame, eventually spending his last year as offensive coordinator. What did he tell you about the demands of this place?
Well, it was more about, for us at this point, a relationship, right? Because whether you work at Penn State or Notre Dame, the demands are the same, right? The expectations to win at these two places. So to me, I think he was the middleman for me and Freeman. So it was good to just have somebody who understands both of us, who understand Notre Dame and worked at Penn State. So when you're making a tough decision like this, it's always good to have a friend that don't try to talk you into something, don't try to talk you out something, but just listen and kind of go through his experience of what he'd been through and how special he felt Notre Dame was for him and his family. So, and it was easy, not just for me, but for my wife, having Candy to talk to who'd been through this process. So it was a family decision, and, you know, we happy with the decision we made.
And then on a much lighter note, Jadarian Price got the new NIL deal this week that's all over social media. I wonder if you've talked to him about that, or will you try to get a chain through him or anything?
So I was joking with him this morning. I called him Mr. TMZ. I say, man, you famous already. How can you hook the room up? You know, I told him, don't tell my wife and kids about this jury, though.
Front row on your right, Eric Hansen.
Hey, Coach, with your background as a co-offensive coordinator, as a former quarterback, how do you hope to maybe impact the offense beyond your running backs?
Well, I think, first of all, you got to come in and be a sponge, you know, because I've been around people and I never want to be that guy, hey, Mike, you doing this way, but we did it that way. Well, it ain't about what I did at that place. It's about what we doing here at Notre Dame. So just trying to be a piece of the puzzle. And then when he asks, having a, you know, maybe an opinion or example, hey, Jay, how do you guys do this at Penn State? That kind of fit what we're doing. So anytime you can fit something that's already similar to the situation, the system that we're already in, it's easy to implement something. I think my value going to be to come with the running backs, or I'm better to teach them how the quarterbacks see the game. And we're always talking about in our room playing from the neck up, right? Just like quarterbacks, you see safety rotations kind of tell you what the defense is doing, right? Progression of, hey, it's going to be cover 2, can spin to cover 3, whatever, right? So I need to teach the backs to see that. It's going to allow them to play smarter, right? We're already talented up in that room, so we can play from the neck up. We can anticipate the front changes from 3 down to 4 down, or blitz and your ID change, because now the shade goes away, the 5 technique come inside. So really teach those kids that and make them understand it. Now we got a chance to be maybe a little bit more explosive in an area where we wasn't, because maybe they wouldn't train that way. And I don't know that because I'm just learning the kids. So I'm just giving you the background how I would coach them.
Right, and you partially answered my next question, is about spring priorities. Beyond the teaching, what do you hope to learn about your group? What do you hope that you come out of spring with as far as accomplishments?
To me, you kind of know some of the stuff they do well already. I want to know what they do not do well. You know, I want to know the weakness so I can help them grow in that area. You know, one thing I told them today after we broke this morning, I'd like for you guys to text me 3-5 things individual that you want to grow in that area. And a lot of times when you get that information, you may be able to design a drill that can help. It may be contact balance. It may be, hand placement and protection, but you're only going to know your blind spots if you really recognize them and you own it. Hey, I may be a guy who can only run with the ball in my right hand. Maybe I need to work a little bit more with my left hand. So you just try to find those little details and help them grow. Like when I was a young coach, the best thing I did was spend time with the O-line, right? I wanted to know why a big guy can kick back and move as fast as he can. He's playing on his instep. Well, when you go watch a lot of times you go watch backs block, they play in their feet and they wait on the outside foot of their toes, right? So you can't move. Now you're on your heel and you get bull rush. So I learned that so I can incorporate it in the room. You know what I mean? Just so little things like that. And even off season, like I always make the running backs go run routes with the receivers. Who run routes better than the receivers? Maybe tight end, but at least you learn that part of the game so you continue to grow your game, because the guys that want to play on Sunday are going to be 3-down backs, right? That's the guys who are going to make the money. That's the Saquons of the world. That's the Kid Gibbs in Detroit. So you try to give them examples because that's who they want to be in the future.
That is all the time we have today. Coach, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.